There we go. Okay, for the record, present in person, we have counselors Matt, Emma, Steffi, Irvi, Faye, Sky. Online, we have Patrick. We have delegates present in person, Dalton. Okay, we can continue on to reading of the mission statement. Do I have a volunteer? Irvi.
Support the evolving needs of MSU Denver students by advocating in their best interest to enhance the university experience and opportunities.
Heck yeah. For the record, Rowan now present. On to approval of the agenda, previous meeting minutes. We have the agenda up. Is there any modifications? Okay, I do want to note for the record, there is an open floor under new business today. I have had a request from PR to add one thing there. Should be a short discussion, no action items, just FYI. I'm just going to let them during open business. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion from Emma, second from Matt. Is there any opposition? Wonderful, the agenda is approved. We'll move on to a presentation from the Asian Pacific Islander Club.
Thanks. So hello everyone, my name is Patter Yang. I am the president of the Asian Pacific Islander Club. I'm a junior student computer information systems and I also work as the API student coordinator for our API identity program.
Hi everyone, my name is Kyla Liu. I use she, her pronouns. I am studying event meeting management with a minor in sport media. I'm in my 4th year and I am the vice president of the API club. And I am also a student coordinator on the student activities programming board, as well as the student event coordinator for orientation. Oh no, that's the one.
That's our
That's it.
You didn't send me the revised version.
Oh, I
So
see.
you can just motion like you want to change the.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's good. We can just talk to if that's all right with you. Okay, cool. Okay. So the conference is the Asian Pacific American Higher Education, also called the APAHI Conference. It's a national conference, and this year's theme is Legacies and Actions, Courage and Resilience. It will be held in Anaheim, California. Each day, it will focus on a variety of topics relating to the theme. So things like leadership, equity, advancements for Asian Americans, and topics of the sort. Also on each day of the conference, which I'll explain here in a little bit, there will be different breakout sessions, workshops, and round discussion tables, which we as students are able to attend. So a little breakdown of the conference. We want to arrive a day before just to settle in. It's a little bit more of a sophisticated conference to say. So we want to arrive day before on Saturday, the 11th of April. And then the pre-conference will start on Sunday, April 12th. There's 2 slots for the pre-conference. So we're aiming from 9 to 12. And then the 2 actual days of the conference will be from Monday and Tuesday. They both range from around 8-ish to 5 or 6, depending on the day. And we are planning to leave on Wednesday, the 15th. Now, as Asian students and as the president and vice president of the Pacific Asian Islander Club, we really want to go to this conference to enrich Asian students' experience on campus. The club itself is very young. We just started it. We're trying to get it off its feet a little bit. And we feel like with Patter's experience and being the programmer for Asian Pacific Islander students and my event experience, we have a lot of great knowledge of how to plan an event and kind of being that, but we're missing the part of getting students truly engaged in having the retention of students wanting to come because they want a sense of belonging, not just to come to do like the fun crafts and to get foods, but truly feel a sense of belonging. For us as Southeast Asians, we don't really see a whole lot of us usually, at least in my experience in my program. Every room I walk into, I am the only Asian person. So it's hard to find a sense of belonging on campus. And with advancements from this conference and what we'll learn from our leadership and equity, and not only how to advance our own selves as students, but how to advance other Asian students, and it'll just be, how do you call it? I don't know, just be wonderful, I guess you could say.
Moving down onto our funding breakdown, we do have a discounted rate for the Anaheim $260 per night. I did check with the hotel if we are planning to check out Wednesday morning, since the last day of conference does end at night and we want to fly out the next morning. It will charge us for 5 days. With the approximation of taxes and fees, it will be around 1560 to 1690. That'll cover our stay from Monday. I'm sorry, that'll cover our stay from Saturday to Wednesday. I did include in my picture or in my PowerPoint here. There's a comparison rate. With the normal rate is 294 per night, with a 40% taxes and fees. So that's where I just estimated the 30% taxes and fees for the cheaper price that we are getting. And then for our flights that we are looking at, I looked at 2 different flights with Southwest and United Airlines. We are planning on landing in SNA or Santa Ana. I believe that is the closest airport to the hotel compared to like landing in Los Angeles. And Southwest, it shows that the flight we're planning to leave on Saturday morning and coming back Wednesday morning will be 288. For United Airlines, it is going to be 232, so it's much cheaper with United. That. For our funding request, so per the adjustment we made, we are requesting $140 per individual toward our flight. We are still discussing with student travel and then hospitality with Kyla. So we would just need my flight, but I'm still discussing and finishing that up this month. We are requesting the maximum of $1,500 to cover our lodging stays from Saturday to Wednesday. Then our main concern right now is just with our lodging because we believe student travel should be able to cover my flight and hospitality cover. Yeah.
I'll open it for questions.
Is this the first time you guys are going to this conference?
Yes. We do hope that by attending this conference, we will insights and then hopefully propose at the conferences.
I'm very curious. Do you know why the hotel will be charging for 5 nights for a 4-night stay?
It is still charged because we're checking out Wednesday the 15th. So then if the checkout would be like the Wednesday the 15th by noon. So it's charges.
From a hospitality side, it's about turnover. So they have to turn over the room, so they have to charge us for the room keeping, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, certainly not disputing that. I'm just very curious because usually if you check out before noon, it's not gonna charge you for like an entire another day. So that's really where they're doing that to you guys, but yeah. Cool.
That's just what I put in and I kind of called to ask them about it. But I'm sure once we do like reserve the rooms, we can see the definite.
So can someone refresh me? What's our maximum amount of funding we can provide?
The 15th.
1,500.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get 1,500 from us, what's the others you have confirmed as of now?
So we have our registration fees covered, pre-conference registries covered, and then per diem covered, which was for food and transportation like Uber.
I've secured some funding from hospitality. As a hospitality student, I'm able to like request. I've gotten it approved. They've approved me for my flight. We're still working out the like nitty-gritty details with the budget manager over there, but yeah.
Just to confirm, that leaves you still needing the full 1,500, correct?
Yes, or just our lodgings.
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna put you guys around after our funding. If we were to give you our maximum, you're still needing like 350 from somewhere for your flight essentially, or ish 300, 350.
I think we might have a little buffer from hospitality. It's 500, and so if we can do the cheaper flight at 230,
We
a
still,
little
yeah.
buffer.
Powder is still eligible for student travel. I'm not anymore because I used it for a conference I went to in November, I believe. So that can also kind of give us our buffer. I have thought, wait for it. We are trying to push this a little bit harder because the deadline for registration is on the 28th. So we really want to make sure that we secure our spots before it goes before the registration prices go higher and the hotel rooms go higher and everything kind of just raises.
And Stephen, you might know the answer to this question too, but if let's say you get $500 from hospitality and that's able to cover your flight plus like part of the money for the lodging.
Yeah.
Because it's still coming from MSU, can you guys on the back end be able to like code that such a way where they can still use that full 500 and our full 1,500?
Yeah, so when we have to, when they submit their receipts and everything like that, they'll have to work with me to book their travel, or whatever, the lodging or anything like that. So we'll have to put that on my credit card and I'll have to figure out percentages and all.
Okay, beautiful. And was there more hands? Maisie, go ahead.
Have you, just because I'm thinking it might help with like cutting that money down that you have to try to supplement, have you tried comparing flights into LAX? And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm from that area. And usually the flights are like significantly cheaper going into LAX. And they do have shuttles that go towards Anaheim since that's where Disneyland is. I'm just thinking it might save you guys maybe like 100, at least 100, 150 or so.
For sure, if we could definitely look into that. I believe I did look at it, and it sits around 140 to maybe 160 at most for that. That'd be great, but with that, our concern would be the transportation to the hotel.
Mhm.
But if we got it figured out, it's much cheaper than we should do.
Any last questions? Okay, I asked budget folks, how do we want to proceed? Do you want a motion? What do you want? To,
Motion to move on the funding.
okay, I need someone to phrase a motion. I need you to include the amount we'd be allocating and just includes API's club name. Emma,
No one can do it.
Sure, so to clarify, it would be 1,500, right? So I motion that we vote on whether or not to allocate the $1,500 for API Club to go to this conference.
I'm going to take that as a motion to allocate $1,500 to API Club out of our student organizations fund.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dalton. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, that passes. Congratulations. Okay, yeah, Steven's definitely your best contact person to get those.
We'll have to figure out.
Maybe you guys know him or something.
I don't know.
I don't know if you've met, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Is there any last things you guys want to say?
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Have fun. Hey.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment. We are early, so if someone comes in between 3:52 and 4:07, we will give them the floor. We're going to move on to announcements and updates. Staff members.
Good afternoon, everyone. New comments and updates from you all. I'm going to just say this every week, so get used to me saying this until the deadline, but candidate applications are available for running in student government election. Please pick up the candidate application. The due dates are March 9th for it. And please be reminded that for all of the applications, you do have to collect, I believe, 20 signatures in your application. So please make sure to do that. We will verify who, and make sure those students are approved.
Oh, Emma.
Comment. Did we figure out a organization system in the office for like if people drop them off or where to put them? Like I dropped mine off first and I just put it up front because Denny wasn't there and hopefully she got it.
So did you drop it off to 307 or CMEI?
307, but as students, what should we be doing?
Okay,
with them?
cool. What we will do is, and I realize that we don't have that there yet, we need to have a folder there. So I will check that folder daily as well as Denny will, and we'll collect those applications. So if you dropped it off already somewhere in the front after the meeting, just point to me where it is so that way I can see it.
You should know where it is. Hypothetically, you left it.
It's in a bright yellow folder in the first drawer by my desk.
Okay.
And should we continue to use that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Next thing to know is that while elections are coming up, I will remind TSAC, hey, still an okay time to get your name and your word and what you want to advocate for out there. So again, I encourage TSAC as a student government to reserve some tabling opportunities. I think it's a really important time to do that. And the weather has been great. So if you want to table outside, it'd be a really good thing to do that. Next week at your meeting, as a reminder, it is on the agenda template to start reviewing your goals. So I will leave that up to you all, not during my report, but at some point you all should decide how you want to go through that as a student government next week. So that way it is organized and you all can have fruitful discussion on it. Delegates, reminder, you have this meeting and next meeting to make your 2-meeting requirement for TSAC. That's just a reminder. And then finally, I am working with another staff member to make TSAC website updates. There is a significant amount that needs to be updated on the TSAC website. What I will share with you all is that I am just focusing on the updates. I'm not editing the structure or the layout of the website. I just need to get the website updated to a point that it is to par. So with that, I yield back to the chair.
Questions for Stephen before we move on? I have one. Elections, and also I think Susanna has a hand. So actually, Susanna, you go first.
Hello. I apologize for being online. I wasn't able to give you all a heads up, but I was just looking at the agenda and I didn't get here on time. But I believe I put in an agenda request, but I realized I put it under the wrong date. I put it on 3/16 instead of 2/16. I wanted to see if it's possible that I could make a motion to agenda. If not, that's okay. I'll just try to give my update through PR, but it's really important that we do discuss these topics.
Just so you're aware, Susanna, one of your vice chairs did contact me, and we're going to put that in in open floor under new business. So that's already going to happen at the end.
Okay, sounds good. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yep, of course. Did you have a response to that, Stephen? Okay, and then I had your question for you. Okay, for elections, I guess you and Denny, what do you guys want from TSAC in terms of like helping advertise? Like if we're going to be tabling anytime between now and elections, what sort of guidelines would we be thinking about as far as that keeping the impartiality, the separation, but also like helping advertise it?
So the way this typically works, and this is more informative than anything like that, if anyone is not planning to run in TSAC elections for a counselor position of any kind, please let Denny and I know. We can certainly use some assistance. So we have a variety of events that are coming up surrounding elections, as well as days of voting where we will be tabling. So if anyone isn't planning on running, you can just connect with me or Denny offline and just say, hey, just so you know, I am not running. I can help with whatever you need. So it's going to be minimal at best. One more thing just for everyone, PR committee. I would like the flyer so I could start using the A-frame to put that out for when our meetings are. So if anyone has the most updated meeting flyer, I'd love to just get a copy of it. I want to blow it up and then put it on the A-frame so that we have that. And then just as another thing, Dr. Barone said in the chat, no updates from me. I'm officially out of office, but just tuning in, smiley face.
Keegan, anything?
I do some, I don't have like a formal report, is that okay? But basically just some math. So far, we're currently at like, I'm rounding up, but like 166 spent in total on office supplies. Mainly like we need to get a step stool because I can't reach the top of the door. We got like a magnetic whiteboard for the fridge just because I would like for you guys to start kind of writing your name by what you're keeping in the fridge. just so when, those 2 days are up, I know who to contact to say, hey, come get your stuff. And also, we need more staples, kind of normal restock stuff. So yeah. And just like another reminder, please keep the common areas clean going forward. And that is it. Thank you.
Budget committee folks, or mostly, I guess, Irby, do you guys have all the receipts from those purchases and tracking that on the budget spreadsheet yet?
I only have the budget receipts for the A-frames, I would say, and then the school supplies. Apart from that, I haven't received any other receipts.
Stephen?
Can I just respond to that
Yeah,
directly?
please do.
Keegan and I just placed an order this morning, so I'll send you that receipt. We also have some receipts from last week. I will send you that as well. And yeah, I will send you whatever you need.
I do have a request. As you guys get closer to that $500 limit, I don't know if we're going to for the rest of the semester, but as you do, please keep us updated as much as you can so that if you guys need more money, we could possibly consider that. So,
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you so much for that update. I just put it on the agenda to request it, but thanks. Okay, I guess that's all of our staff members. So standing committees. Accountability.
I don't have much of one. We're still just working on our procedures and guidelines. And then we're going to meet with Dean of Students again to get some more input on it.
Awesome.
For budget, we're gonna be working on 18th this week, for the budget guidelines and procedures. If anyone wants to come and present their input, so most welcome. It's gonna be in Tivoli 307. And also we're gonna have 3 more student orgs coming up maybe next week. So yeah, that's it.
Steffi?
From PR, we are working on resolution to purchase, like graduation sashes and boards and also T-Sack swag. So look forward to that resolution and also those different designs and options. We are working on a St. Patrick's Day event. Possibly, we'll probably have a discussion point for that for next meeting agenda. We will also have a potential tutoring week, midterm support initiative event going on as well. So will also be a discussion point for next week. This will be more for open floor, but another potential collaboration with Casa de Paz.
Okay, I guess sustainability can go next. We will be recruiting starting tomorrow, student employees and just generally students to join the Ouroboros initiative and be part of the task force. And we will keep you guys updated as to where we go from there. Details still pending on the Know Your Rights training. We're hitting roadblocks and we expect those to be clear soon, just FYI. Anything else from you, Macy, Rowan, Dalton? Okay, cool. And then Patrick, do you have anything from the chair? I don't have anything.
I do not.
Wonderful. We'll move on to advisory committees, also ad hoc committees. Just jump in. Arby?
Oh, it's not actually, I would say advisory, but
Budget, go ahead. It's fine.
no, it's not budget. Actually, it's about the UTAC. Can we discuss it in the open floor or would you like?
Oh, UTAC is totally an advisory committee.
Okay,
Sorry, it's not on the list yet. I
okay.
forgot about
got
it,
it.
but it is.
So we had our meeting earlier this month. Was it this month? Yeah, this was this month. So we discussed about some potential like fee structures. How can we utilize for technology usage for students? So UTAC and some students, maybe some more council members or maybe some people who use like technology every day. So they need some hands-on, like some discussions, like what exactly can be utilized, so there's gonna be like budget decrease in the advisory committee, so they need some people to come up and speak about those issues. Whatever the resources are like most likely to be helpful in the future, so that way they can cut down on the budget, but they can also make them resourceful and then useful for the students without like cutting down, without like not cutting down the budget. Sorry, my bad. Without like they're actually cutting down the budget, but they don't want to make students feel like they're actually cutting out on the budget, or maybe like reducing the resources. And the next meeting for the UTAC is on April 10th on Friday. And I would be able to attend that meeting if that's okay with all the council members. So is it okay if I can attend that meeting?
Motion for me to be.
We appointed you interim rep. In the absence of appointing someone else, I think that's your job. And if you can't make it, you just need to let us know. So if you can make it, beautiful. Yeah.
Another update for student travel.
Got the floor.
All right.
Thank you for having like prepared updates. That like, it makes me happy to see that you're really engaging. I love that.
Have to. So we have meetings for student travel on 27th. April, sorry, not April. What month is going on? February. 27th February, and then we would be discussing like we have some changes around the rubric, so we can score so we have been cutting down the budget. So instead of having the same regular rubric that we used to fund and allocate the money to student orgs for traveling and conferences, we're going to change that rubric to something else. And then I would have some more pointers to explain. We decided upon maybe on the next meeting.
Other committees.
From a space analysis, they reached out to me and Michelle last week about filling a new committee. I don't know if that's better reserved for open.
Go ahead.
All right. It's called the Backfill Space Task Force.
Is this like spawning off of space analysis, or is this like an entirely new thing? They're just advertising in that space.
It's different slightly. I think there's like parallels between the committee I'm on and this one. Alex Staniski, he reached out to me and Maria about putting or looking for student representation on that specific committee. I figured I'd let TSEC know. They said naturally me, but I don't know. I think I should bring that up to TSEC before I just assume stuff like this and anything. So,
do you know like the stated charge or mission or thing of this committee, other than the name is like what, to eliminate closet space? Like, what is it?
So I'll read the email real quick. Implementing the upcoming university space plan due in February and backfilling locations that will become available as several ongoing capital projects come online in 2027 and 28. To deal with space planning issues, we need shared governance reps to help with this work. So they recommended to Alex to have someone from TSAC represent on that. They anticipate to meet twice, up to 2 times per month, with the bulk of the work taking place this spring and summer.
It sounds like this is, hey, we're building a bunch of things and offices are going to move. What do we put into place?
Yeah, maybe.
So like the first floor of the new housing building is going to have some sort of C2 hub thing in it. So maybe they're thinking about JSSB fourth floor or about administration building and where there might be additional space. I think wonderful. Did you want that? Do other people want that? What's happening?
I'll get back to you if we don't want to decide today. That I don't sense any urgency from Alex on this. So
Did they give you?
I can also ask Alex more information. That way I come back and get more specific.
Okay,
Yeah, I was just kind of see if like they had given you like when they think their first meeting was gonna be.
It's twice a month, mostly working in spring, summer. But yeah, I think I can come back next meeting with confirmation.
it's like, can we charge you to
Yeah.
get it or bring it back? Wonderful. Okay, so anything else from advisory committees and ad hoc committees? I've heard we might have an update from the lawn committee. I don't know if you guys wanna. But yeah, the lawn committee members here. While you guys pull up those things, I wanna, it's not my committee, but this ad hoc committee regarding student representation to AHEC. We previously had Rowan as the chair before we had SACAB reps. I wanna ask the council, do we want to continue this ad hoc committee? How do we wanna engage the SACAB space? Because this committee hasn't met but once. I don't necessarily have a proposal, but I do think that like me and Matt will naturally be meeting in the sort of idea of like, what are we doing with SACAB? And then getting reports back to you, or do you want to have like dedicated meeting times, like on a periodic basis to talk about SACAB and AHEC representation, or what do we want out of this ad hoc committee, or are we just dissolving it? Any and all hand, maybe.
Okay, truly, I feel like this is an issue that maybe can be dealt with SACAB, only because even just acting within the committee and like getting an email back took a long time, and it's still having to go through Stephen to get that meeting anyway. So I think it's just, these are maybe issues that can be dealt with through that committee rather than through an ad hoc committee. That's what I personally think, just because I don't really feel like it's been extremely productive in any way, but
Are you talking, which committee are you talking about?
the one with the Auraria board.
Very word, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you call it? I think it probably makes the most sense, just because we met once, and we appointed reps, and I think these would be the liaisons for that. So I'm in favor of dissolving the SACAB or the ad hoc committee to the library board or whatever. Guess I'll move that. I motion that we dissolve the ad hoc committee regarding student representation to AHEC. Second. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, that's done. Okay, Lon, did you guys have it? I don't want to force an update. I just heard news, so. Okay.
I'll say.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Susanna, you had a hand and I am so bad. Did you want to speak on any of that? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just have an update on my advisory, but we could do it after the lawn. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I'll ask you after the lawn. Sorry, go ahead, Faye.
as Maisie kind of mentioned, it was basically, we received an email back that was like, so we had sent an original email and then a follow-up, and then they eventually got back to us being like, thanks for checking in. We didn't lose your email. We just didn't want to respond to you, essentially, directing us to go through Stephen instead. So that's, I think, kind of also where Maisie's comment of like working through some of our SACAB reps and sort of that angle to be like, hey, what?
SACAB? How is SACAB involved in the JSSB law?
For like communications with AHEC.
Is AHEC involved in the JSSB law? I thought Leanne Bokinski,
No, Leanne Bianchi is MSU together, so I'm tired.
is there another AHEC person in this?
No,
Okay,
that's
So-
my own exhaustion showing. Yeah.
hearing that, I actually kind of wanna ask someone about that. So Stephen, do you have any context you want to share before I sort of propose something?
After that message was sent, a meeting was scheduled with myself and Dr. Barone for, I think, next week about the lawn.
With Leanne?
Correct. And so I will go in representing many of your thoughts and ideas. And I really just want to have I want to see what the concern is about coming before TSAC or even just meeting with TSAC.
Hearing that, I would actually really appreciate it if in this meeting that you guys have, you talk about that and let us speak whenever they, eventually decide they want to meet with us about our concerns. As much as I do trust you to sort of forward our concerns, I would like to see them come get our concerns from us.
Okay.
Is that a popular opinion, Emma?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like the only reason we really knew about the lawn is because Stephen brought us the information about the lawn, and then we circumvented back, and now they're circumventing back to, like, it's just very like, I don't know, is there any other avenue we could go? Or, because I think the issue is not necessarily that there is no lawn at this particular moment, it's the fact that they did not tell us about the lawn, and all we want is for them to just tell us if there's an issue. That's all that is
I have a
communicated.
proposal. So I want to send an email to Jim Carpenter. And I want to ask him a high level TSAC like concern or question about how can we ensure that the administration branch as a whole is like integrated with TSAC in some way where we can really like be partners in this space of advocating for students. And I think that would be a great place to start that conversation, given the attempts we've had with the Steve.
I would also say that I think that idea from Sky is actually a good idea because at this point, I think it is about, hey, at MSU, we have a shared governance process. We have had budget chairs come to us. We have had student affairs leadership come to us. We have had faculty come to us. I think that rather than pointing out a specific department, Sky, I think keeping it relatively broad and saying, hey, is this truly the expectation? And we want to ensure that it is being lived up to. And I will still, Dr. Barone and I will still go into that one meeting and find out what some of the concern is about meeting with TSA. And Matt, I have to ask, please stop chewing the ice. You're killing me. I'm sorry.
Do we want to send 1 to 2, 3, whatever people to schedule a meeting with Jim Carpenter? Or do we want to invite Jim Carpenter to a TSAC meeting? I don't have an opinion. I just want question for people. Go ahead.
To TSAC.
To TSAC? What about you, Emma?
To TSAC.
To TSAC. Okay. I would be down for that. Faye.
I feel like also to that point, inviting Jim to this meeting is like, hey, we're trying to like have these conversations and like not just have it be like a closed meeting with a couple of people. Like we want all of TSAC involved in this like administrative relationship.
I can't say this for certain because I haven't been involved in all these conversations, but my like perception is Leanne's often in president's cabinet and I interact with her every once in a while, but my perception from this is likely she thinks we're mad about the lawn. And I don't think she's like, I think that that's like underscoring this is like, she doesn't want to come here for like an inquisition, I guess. I think that if she knew that we were just trying to have a conversation about like student representation, I think she might be more willing to come here. And so I do want to make sure that at no point we are the aggressor in such a like, interaction, but if you could help us in our drafting of emails, please proofread something, that'd be nice.
Absolutely. And I would say, let's make sure if that's the direction you want to go and to invite Jim Carpenter, one, giving him context about, not necessarily about the lawn, but hey, we want to have a broader conversation with you about administration and what from the MSU side, TSAC's expectations are, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, yes, okay. So the question that I threw out isn't like a motion, but like, do we want to send, how do we want to get this, meeting scheduled? Do we want to have one of our people email them, CC Steven, or do we want to have Steven contact them? What's the thing? I guess this is probably a question more for the lawn reps than anyone, but for anyone. Yeah.
Who's different, Steven email or ask?
So if I was a university vice president and a student emailed me from student government, I was thinking that it is a little different than if Steven emailed me, like a colleague of mine. Just like the perception. Amazing.
So I feel like our original email did not hold any malice or like have any judgment beyond just like, hey, we want to talk about the facilities and how that's arranged. So I think because maybe that we're being perceived in a way where I think that we're upset. I think maybe it might be best if Steven does it, but I will let my colleagues.
I'm just gonna speak counter to that, because I think in the fact that like we are asking for this kind of ongoing communication to be a thing that TSAC has as council, as a like council that the university interacts with, I think it makes a lot of sense for a counselor to be the person to reach out and CC Stephen on that.
Okay, I agree. Who wants to do it? Great. Is anyone opposed to Faye doing it? Did you have a hand? Go ahead.
What were you asking? Like,
Who do we want to be the person that sends the email? Now that we've-
sounds like Faye has great ideas.
Okay, Rowan.
Sure. I was going to offer, but whatever.
We can work this together.
Wonderful. Rowan and Faye are working together. Think of the line committee. Wonderful. Okay. I just asked that we don't schedule this meeting the same day that President Davidson is coming to our thing. Because that's just time. Okay, cool. We spent so much time on updates. Thank you for the productive conversation. Anything else on advisory committees? And then, or Susanna, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I do have an update from the Period Equity Committee. We did meet, I believe it was almost a week ago of a Friday. And I did tell them that, I haven't talked to Steffi about it too, but I am planning to resign from that committee just because of my capacity. I don't have time anymore. I need to focus a lot since we are planning a lot for PR. And I did talk with Denny about our digital platform for election. So if someone wants to join for the Period Equity Committee, they are more welcome to, but I'm no longer going to be able to commit on that.
Matt?
I've pretty much already been on the period equity committee. So whether my name's on there or not, I'll still be working with them.
I motion that Matt replace Susanna on the period equity committee.
I second that.
So any opposition? Wonderful. I find that passed, seconded by Will. Wonderful. Thanks. I imagine you'll probably represent SACAB in that space too at some point in the future, but because I know they're asking for something. But okay, cool. Okay, any other updates? And I'm glad we spent time on updates. I know every meeting's been like 2 minutes per person per update. I'm glad we took some time and really talked about it. So, do you have a hand for an update?
No,
Okay.
open floor.
Okay, open floor updates. Go. Emma.
So this is not necessarily, this is a semi-conversation, but we have our goals coming up and I think I don't think this needs to be in depth or anything. I do have that sheet. I think we agreed it could live with accountability somewhat, maybe for now, maybe one day with the training committee, but for now it's living with that. I can add that to the agenda. Do you guys want accountability to help lead that goals training? Like, dots, I mean, it'll be a very open, but just like as far as like navigating the sheet, I can help with that. Any thoughts?
Will.
You kind of came up with the idea. I would love to do training
Okay.
with you leading it, actually.
And again, if it's like this doesn't work, like that's fine, but maybe just as a starting off point, I can add that to the agenda and we can work off of that very old, very unupdated document to add things. But any other thoughts on how we want to run that? Anyone?
I think that if it's not like an enumerated duty of the accountability committee, it should just be done by people that want to do it. And so if that happens to be the people that I just do, I think it's a cool thing to work on, and I think you should just pursue it if it's what you like.
So then I'll help with that in the next meeting.
Fire. I'm very much a leadership by doing shit person. Just go do things. Love it. Okay. Susanna, did you still have a hand?
Yes,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. Now that we're on open floor, I did want to just discuss a little few things about PR. Steffi is mainly going to talk about the La
gotta
Casa
cut
de
you off.
Paz.
I gotta cut you off, Susanna. There's 2 open floors. One's for updates, one's for business. Your stuff is gonna be in business later. Is that okay?
Oh, okay. Yes, that's okay. Sorry,
Okay.
my bad. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, you're good. Okay, seeing no more open floor, we're moving on to old business. Discussion on the fine and performing arts activation student fee, Stephen put this on here. Do you want to give us, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so as your advisor, one of the things that I will always bring to the table is circling back to presentations, discussions, things that you all talk about. Last week, you all had presenters from theater and performing arts come and present what they would like to do. They want to introduce a fee. You heard from the presentation. I think it's important you all create a space to discuss about the fee, thoughts, ideas, and the direction you all as TSAC want to go in. That's all. That's why I put that on the agenda. Again, it is important for you all to continue to have those conversations. So with that, I will give back to you all.
Anything to this item of business? Hands. Okay.
Just because I ended up following up with them individually, at the meeting as with the question that I had, but didn't have time to ask. The music department said that they would hope to extend student access to practice rooms with this. The theater department, theater department said that they wouldn't be able to. My question, I guess, for context was, what facilities would you be willing to open to students if you were to give this? The theater department said that they already are fairly limited with the fact that the King Center is an AHEC building, so they have only so much limited shop hours that they have access to, but they are still willing and encouraging students to apply for their paid positions and also volunteer to work on their shows. And then the art department said that they are similarly to the theater department would be unable to open up studios to people outside of classes for the shared studio spaces. So that's sculpture and the photography.
Yep. So they actually presented to SAB last week with music and nature. And I just wanted to let you guys know, I don't think they directly discussed this here, but they're going for music. If the fee was approved, they'd go from about $84,000 per, or no, $83,000 per budget to about $150,000. So that's about what their increase would look like with this fee for their specific program. And theater would go from, I didn't write down what their actual was, but they're requesting $137,000 to $280,000. And then I guess just sharing like little note, I like the arts, I love the arts, but at the same time, this fee doesn't feel super inclusive necessarily to students in some regards because it's not open to a lot of people. And student impact in some regards, while those majors are important, is somewhat limited. Like if it's being offered to all students, in my opinion, like the health and wellness fee and the gym fee or like the, exercise fee or whatever it is, at least everybody can access that, but the arts it still seems semi-limited other than shows. That's just a thought though.
Matt?
Can I ask a question, Emma, on my presentation?
You got the floor.
All right. Did they come back with any of the information that I asked about last week as far as like how many students went to their shows and performances?
So I mean, it was a presentation, so it was like all presentations catered to look like their best numbers. They did say that, I'm sorry, I have these all written down, and they said that there are, what is this? It says that there was 1,207 students served per year, and 350 to 400 were engaged in the creation. The rest were attendees of the production. That gives you kind of an idea on that.
Can you repeat that?
Sorry. So about roughly 1,200 students were served last year, and it says 350 to 400 were engaged in the creation, and the rest were attendees of the production. And then this was for theater. For music seems to be a bit more. They had 7,000 tickets to last year's events, and about 25% were free student tickets. Sorry if that was not the most helpful, but it's
Yeah.
what I wrote down.
I'm gonna go Faye first.
That would probably.
I was also emailed the specific numbers that theater had, so it's not just the like research total. They said the 400 students participated on stage, backstage, and in the creation of productions, and 857 of that 1,200 number was students who attended on a free ticket out of 3,200 tickets sold.
So,
That's my question.
do you know how many shows they had?
I don't off the top of my head. I believe
Theater
that they,
festival.
yeah, I was like, I believe they have 2 per semester.
I my perspective on some of the things that I've heard from them, because they were all here. I also have seen their materials in student fee review panel, and we will see them again in whatever time we meet
It's
again.
like
It's
whenever
on
that
my
meeting
calendar.
is.
Very soon. My sort of perspective on their side of things is they're sort of caught in a catch-22, where they have the numbers they have, and they can't increase it because they don't have the budget to have more productions to do more things. I think if we were to like take CMEI's budget and cut it in half, it'd be really hard for them to get the same numbers they have right now of student interactions. And I think so if we lived in a world where the last 10 years CMEI had a budget of half what they do now or whatever. And then we asked them to like produce numbers that are higher without giving them more money. I think that would be a difficult thing. I will say that if I compare like their fee, it's sort of comparable to the like recreation fee. The recreation fee doesn't just fund the gym, it also funds like other things in that side of the world with athletics. And we also pay a separate athletics fee and both of those are both of those are quite a bit more than what this fee would be. They're in the 50s and high 40s. And I think that the same argument can be made for them in that like I don't participate in athletics at MSU. I've never been to a game. I think there's lots of students that are in that boat who may not be interested in going to games, might be interested in going to theater productions or going to watch an ensemble play something. And I think what I'm seeing is a comparable amount of student engagement that would be happening, whether that's with services like the practice rooms being open, whether that is with the ability to participate in theater or the ability to do, and also to go watch theater. I see a comparable amount of what they're promising in this fee increase as to what I'm seeing from athletics and to what I'm seeing from recreation. It's just my thoughts on it. Hands again, Will.
I have a question for Stephen. You know how far admin can go to stop this fee?
It's got to go through the fee process. So, I mean, the student fee committee can essentially review the fee, push it up to the next level, which I believe goes to, I'll have to get back to you where it goes, but last year this happened and it got squashed before it even made it to the Board of Trustees or anything like that. I think it went all the way up to the president's cabinet and the president himself, and she said no to it. So at any point, I think he can say no. If the student fee review committee says no, it doesn't move on. If the budget office makes a recommendation based on what the student fee committee says, each step of the way, it could be stopped.
I also have insight on that. Do you want to go first? Or
Yeah, I have a
go ahead.
Question, a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So in essence, just to like verify, the president could veto it.
Yeah, so here's what the process is, just so you know.
I can also shed some light on this too, but go ahead.
Thank you. So the student fee review panel will make a recommendation to the budget office. Mid-March, the budget office will review and draft a decision memo based on the recommendation of the student fee review panel, and it will go to president's cabinet. Because this is a mandatory fee, no, that's not that. So then based on president's cabinet, in April, results have to go to student affairs, budget office, provost office, and university president's office. So anywhere from now until April, it can either move forward to go to the trustees in June, or it could be nixed.
I've heard something slightly different than that. What you're saying is correct, but from what I've heard, I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong, but from what I've heard is as soon as you panel gives a recommendation, yes or no, the budget office gives a recommendation, yes or no. Jim Carpenter, who's above the budget office, gives a recommendation to the president. The president says yes or no. And then it goes to a ballot if we say yes, or if they get enough signatures.
It does have.
If the students say yes or no, and then if the students say yes, then it goes to the trustees.
Last.
They have the last final say.
Yeah.
I will say that at any point in the whole process, President Davidson also has final say.
Yeah.
Which is another thing too. And because it's a mandatory fee, it has to go to election, under our plan. That's and I've talked to Sam and
Yeah,
the student
right.
review panel about it. So
Yeah.
that's my like conception of it. And then Patrick, I see your hand.
Hello. So I just want to put, based on like what was presented to us last semester or last year as well with the arts fee, it seems like last year, it wasn't just those 5 directors or 5 deans that came. It was a lot of students that came in to support. It was like them. It seemed like a lot of students were wanting to have like a bigger change within it with this funding. So I agree with having a fee. However, I believe it shouldn't raise above $30. That's because I don't see what kind of a difference it would be from $30 to $35 and see what things would, be lost with that. Just like similar to how we projected our 3% loss, our losses to SAB. I believe like with the money that they're asking for, obviously we need to work. It's going to expand a bigger community for everybody here on campus. Of just a lot more things to do other than just going to these student organization events or these big events for university. Maybe you can go and watch a play, watch some music and ensemble. That sounds like very entertaining, especially during December when everybody wants to be inside. However, and the quality will also be improved with that as well. However, it would be very promising for me to see a PR plan to be given, provided with the like reasoning of what the fund is going to be used in that way, because whether it be not just 2 banners, obviously with a bigger fund increase is going to be a better means of marketing what's going on, because it's not really no point of having such a big thing going on when there's not many attendees, similar as to with sports that we have right now. How is that being promoted every day, or how are things that our events, even though we have our funding, it may not be as much. There are events and there aren't many people that come and attend to. So it would be very promising to see a better PR plan laid out, similar to what we did for SAB. I yield.
Is that no, that's a carrot. Got it. Baby carrot. Okay, I think we need to not necessarily make a decision today, but at some point between now and I would hope like maybe in the next 2 or 3 meetings of ours, have like either an endorsement or a recommendation or something that if we are in favor generally of this fee, and sort of decide what we want to endorse and what. So that could be brought with the proposal from the budget office for President's cabinet and or President Davidson, or however it gets to there. Yeah. Well,
This is a hand. Food for thought, right? They want to get off the SAB funding. Like right off right from the get-go with this fee that they're trying to, pass and put in place. But I'm like trying to think, is there like a middle ground somewhere where they're like subsidizing some of that, that gap with the SAB and a lower fee for them specifically? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
They basically said no.
To like a year per year less increase in the fee, but less
They
funding
just
from
wanted
SAB.
to be-
That's one of the things I assume that they would, want.
is that still a hand or was it the old hand, Patrick?
It's a new hand.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this just relating to like to what you're talking about with the fee? If I recall, they said they weren't going to have any of the SAB fee if they get this other fee, so it won't be a double fee, a double dip is what they explained. And if I recall, they were pretty open to like a change of price and negotiation, seeing as there wasn't too much support for the 35. I feel, you know, from their side, it isn't that bad to like, it's negotiable to raise or remain that price amount.
So did you guys hear something that I didn't when they came to present to us? I didn't hear any specifics about what that extra $5 is for. From like the original 30 to 35. Which I'm not saying that's a problem. I didn't hear that. And so, but what I'm hearing from you, Patrick, is that you're saying that you don't think the additional 5 they're asking for is worth it. But I'm curious, like, where did we hear about that? I see 3 hands. Dalton first.
I think the only characteristic of the $5 is so they're beginning their fee at 30 and then slowly graduating to 35. I think their initial ask was 35, but they were recommended to have it go year by year.
Yeah. Okay. Did that do yours? Okay. That's what I was thinking too, because I asked them that question specifically. I asked them why the step up, and they were told by their dean, which I am at, which is C last dean, so that's my brain. Mazzarini. I imagine Mazzarini told them to make it 30, then 30, then 35 in an effort to like make it easier on students for the next 2 years as it goes up. And that's what they had sort of said. I don't think that was their decision. I think their request is 35. And so I imagine all their presentations and things they're requesting and they want to do is based on that 35 number. And so I'm not hearing an argument for saying only 30 by 35, unless the argument's just you're requesting too much, which is certainly a valid argument if it's your position. But I'm not hearing like a thing they're saying that $5 is like gonna take away if we pull it away. I'm hearing they're asking for 35. Okay. Oh, Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There wasn't too. I'm not sure. Are we saying the same thing? Kind of like there wasn't too much reasoning behind of why from like the $35 to the, that difference of $5. What's the difference with that? Are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing, but I'm saying I think they probably need the 35. And the only reason they're doing the 30 at first is at the request of their dean.
Yeah. That's why I assumed as well. Well, I knew it was because of the request of the dean because they want that 35. I just want to see like what's the difference. Like if they can make do with $30, why can't you make it do with why do you have to make it with 35? That's my reasoning on that as well. Yeah.
Okay. I think that likely I plan to be one of the sponsors of one. We'll write a resolution regarding this fee. And I'll be stakeholdering that with all the TSAC folks before presenting it. I don't think it'll be next week, but sometime soon. I'm also going to work with them on that as well. And I think Faye is interested in working on that. If anyone else is interested, I'm happy to involve people in the writing of that. It's not been started. I would love to chat sort of the our voice in this fee via resolution. But yeah. Anything else? I'll see hands on the fine and performing arts activation fee discussion. Is there anyone who's like vehemently opposed to this fee? Maybe you hate the arts, maybe you're just tired of fees, man. Well,
I'm kind of opposed to how they're doing it, but I also understand there's like they need an increase to do more. I also understand that, and they're very underfunded. My concern is like where education, like the funding for education is going in this country in general, not even in just the nation, but in this state itself, like those short gaps or those shortfalls, excuse me, in funding. And it just concerns me just a little.
Yeah. Matt.
I don't know if I want to get too far into this right this second, but it just popped into my head that wasn't addressed. Is if they do get this money, how much more money are they actually going to make on ticket sales? So, because currently they sell tickets to non-MSU Denver students. That's a cost. That was numbers that was given to us. And if they make better plays, I would kind of expect those numbers to go up if they're advertising right. So like, I don't know.
Steffi.
Something they mentioned is that, at least for theater, I'm not sure about music specifically, but theaters, they said that, what was the music? I think it was music. One
music as well.
Yeah, music, how, the revenue they get from tickets purchased, so like non-MSU students, that goes 100% directly to scholarships for majors. So their argument was that, that will increase the number of scholarships, which is a good thing, and blah, blah, blah. So that's something they didn't mention here, but they did mention that.
Stephen, do you know of any other, sorry, I'm jumping all the stack. Maisie, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I think maybe I understood wrong, but maybe I think that's why Patrick also had made the recommendation of like maybe asking for a PR presentation on that, just because I think I very much am in support of the budget increase for them, but I do just like worry because our school struggles so much with student engagement and in general, just like I'm afraid that like the money might not even really be like used for what we're trying to do, I guess you could say.
Emma?
I was gonna say what Stephanie said, but yeah, I'm not like, I like the arts, I just think it's not, I'd be more almost in favor of doing like a mandatory fee that goes to CMEI, because every student seems to get something out of that, like they have way more engagement and stuff like that, but music just doesn't like, and I'm not saying to do that, but like, music just doesn't, it seems like a much smaller cohort of people that go to that and do that. And I just think putting another fee on students is really hard, especially when we know the majority of our population struggles to pay their tuition. So yes, it's restricted, but.
I want to note something just on that point, and then we'll go to Patrick, is that I think, I mean, it's shielded by the sort of student affairs fee, but there is a mandatory like fee that goes to CMEI. It's through the student affairs fee, but it's around what, probably $25 per student-ish. You do the math out of it for what CMEI gets. Just as an FYI, I think that is something that exists. And right now there's like a $9 student mandatory fee out of the student affairs fee that goes to these departments. If you're partitioning out the student affairs fee as to what it typically gets, just FYI. Patrick?
Yes. And I think that's precisely something that we all agree to. How, like, that's, thank you so much, Stacy, for echoing what I was saying. I think that'll be great for us to see it and make a lot more sense for people to buy onto of what's going to come out to this, because, if you just paint everything that's going to be okay and say, it's going to look great, we're going to have a lot of people come in, like that's great and all, and we would love to see that. However, how are we going to, do that? How's that? What's the plan to action with that? Because a lot of events here, even with CMEI, have the struggle of getting student attention. However, something that I have noticed as well with the arts is, I'm not sure if you guys have been around by St. Cayetan's and the Keene Center, but that little roundabout is always around a couple months around the year. I always see a bunch of school buses with a lot of well-dressed individuals coming in with their band, whether that be for choir, whether that be for band and orchestra. It gets a lot more attention just within our community, but also the individuals that could be possible students and be, see that this is something that's supported as well in our MSU. Maybe it hasn't been in the previous years, but we could have the opportunity to make this something anew. However, like me, Matt, and everyone's saying, we want to see how will that be? Like, how are you going to do that? Like, we want to see that, everyone's agreement, but what's the plan to do that? Is it just we get the money, we're able to do bigger plays? That's great. And I think they'll be able to do a lot more licenses. However, how are they going to implement that? Whether that be getting more street signs or more, billboards so people can get the attention of these performances. I think that would be great for us as well.
Okay. Is there any requests for action on this discussion item? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna move us on Oh, did you have a, Patrick?
Yeah, what could be our next steps of action here, given that we know there's these steps of processes that we're not directly involved with, but how can we help out, Stephen? That's my question.
Can I answer that, Stephen? Okay, I was gonna say, like, that's up to us. Like, if we wanted to, someone could motion right now to endorse this fee as is, like, we don't have to do a resolution, but I think a resolution is a good next step if we're gonna endorse. I think if you and others still have a lot of questions about this fee, I think inviting them back with a little bit more notice would make sense. I want to clarify that I invited them and they came in like 3 days. I gave them, that this previous meeting or today's meeting, and they chose the last one. And I think that they might have come to us sooner if back in November they'd sent the proposal to the right Sean Schaefer, who's the vice provost who would have approved these, but they got that to the wrong person, a different Sean Schaefer or Schaffer. And I think that's sort of why they had like a pause on this sort of any development in the last like couple months, because they hadn't heard back from Sean. And so, yeah, I think next steps could be we write a resolution, we endorse the fee with certain, caveats or certain things that we want to sort of guide the fee towards. We could invite them back for another meeting. We could delegate 2 people to go talk to them. Those are sort of action items that I was sort of asking if anyone had. If not, then we could sort of just, people can propose it at the next meeting but yeah. Patrick.
All right, I'm gonna need y'all help to phrase this motion, so let me break it down here. I want to make sure I like the first idea of inviting them back. However, if we were to invite them back, I would like to be something productive. So I would like for us to already have the things that we're looking for, given this is the second time that the council has received it within 2 years. I feel like we could kind of want to see what do we want to, what are the biggest questions that they can respond to us that can be a lot more focused rather than just having them go with the presentation again. So given the fact that we first have to have our prepared list of questions that we want answered from their presentation to let them address it before we do resolution, I feel that would be better. That way we could let them do their thing and then we could support it in whatever manner it is, given our feedback is, responded to after the invitation to our meeting. So I think I would like to motion to invite back the performing arts activation student fee individuals to present with a more directed presentation towards TSAC's given concerns to support the bill.
Okay. I think that people probably need clarification on that motion before they could second that genuinely. I guess are you okay if before I accept your motion, we talk about it for a sec, Patrick? Okay, we are. Okay. So essentially you're wanting people to come back and talk to us some more. And I think it'd probably be easier if you make that motion and then just assign a point person to like give to prepare an agenda or send them questions ahead of time as opposed to making it as part of the motion. I would say though that they just came, and so I think it might make sense to send someone to them instead of inviting them back. But now I'm getting into argument about your motion, so I do want to let you make it if you'd like to.
Or I'm always open to compromising. I think I just needed a way to say it out loud. So I mean, if it's all right, we can like probably possibly you and I, given that you invited them, and I'm a little bit intrigued in more people want to be involved with this. I feel given the circumstances, if we have the council a lot more engaged with it, it'll be better.
Okay.
But I'm open to.
Sorry, I seem to be like a proponent of this fee. You seem to want more information first. I think Faye seems to be a proponent of this fee and be really like, we're sort of the people that have been talking a lot about this. Matt, I know also. Out of us or anyone else here who wants to be a part of like a part of a group to go talk to these people, outside of a TSAC meeting to get more information and bring back to TSAC? Signal by raising your hand.
I'm interested, but I don't want to commit.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got like 5 people. That's a lot of people. So if we do want to invite them back, like I don't see necessarily it would be like inappropriate, but I do think it would be cool to send people to them first. And then if they have a lot of things to say, maybe invite them back. And I don't think they'd probably all be able to come back, maybe just one of them, like their coordinator instead of all the chairs and directors. Because this is 4 academic departments. Hey, did you have one? Okay, any hands? Okay, there's not currently a motion. Does someone want to make up that motion? Do we want to move on? What do we want to do? I'm gonna give it 5. Okay, Patrick?
I motion we send a group of representatives to inquire more information from the Fine and Performance Arts Activation student fee, and then report back to TSAC after the meeting.
Okay, I hear a motion for the creation of an ad hoc committee regarding this fee. Does that work for you, Patrick? Great, I'll second that. Is there any opposition? Or any discussion before we go to, okay, any opposition? Seeing none, we have an ad hoc committee. I motion that regardless of capacity, so even if you can't make the meetings or whatever, that ad hoc committee be comprised of everyone with point persons, Faye and Patrick.
Is that a motion?
I'll motion that.
I'll second that then.
Is there any opposition to that? Okay, we have a new ad hoc committee. Yay, we always keep 3 or 4 of those things. Okay, I'm gonna move us on to update and requests for action from the TSAC rep to faculty senate with Faye.
Yeah, so I just put this on here because I wanted a little more dedicated time and space to talk about the digital literacy requirement if that's needed, and then also the things that I was gonna say come Wednesday, because I have been confirmed to be able to speak on the floor on Wednesday at Advocacy. So if anyone has any thoughts or any questions up top, we can start there. If not, I'm just going to kind of run through my bullet points, and then if anyone has any that they would like me to add or take off. Great. So just things that I was concerned with this requirement was we already have almost 1.5 years of gen ed requirements that are not just like, oh, general credit, but like an actual list of requirements that takes about 1.5 years to complete. Another requirement actively obstructs student graduation. I would be even more opposed to this fee if it was implementing a credit hold, like a math credit hold that you get a hold on your account at every 60 credits. But I do have a concern of how do we avoid that same situation happening. That hold came about because people kept getting to graduation and then needing overrides on their math credit to be able to graduate anyway. So with that in mind, how do we avoid this coming on without instituting another hold that makes the progress through university even more confusing for students? Some degrees are exceptionally tight on credits to meet requirements and to meet accreditation requirements. I would honestly love to see this as an option, as like an alternative to, say, a Content 20, or even lumping all communication credits into it, just 9 credits within this specific area that say 10, 10, 10, 20, and an oral comm credit or a digital literacy credit could all satisfy. Not all students have access to the same tech as well. If you're talking about this idea of digital literacy and especially what that means for students who are coming to a commuter campus, what does that look like for tech access as well? And what does that mean? And has there been, I don't think there's been sufficient thought for that. And then I'm broadly in favor of this concept. I'm more just concerned about the implementation of it and how this would affect students and also completion rates. That's just kind of the laundry list. So yeah, any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, other points that you think I should bring up in regards to this requirement? I'm not sure.
A quick question about the digital literacy. So what do they define that as?
I forget exactly what, but they have
knowing Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Canvas, or what does that mean?
From my understanding of it is that they are talking about having literacy in the technology, they're talking about like, oh, there's new technologies that are coming out, but then I've also repeated multiple times, like, this is not an AI gen ed requirement. Like, that's not what we're trying to do with this. But that is like the things that they have talked about that I've heard of, like, oh, we want, oh, my brain just left me. We want like there to be a way for students to get literacy in digital technologies. I can pull up the specific language from the proposal as well if you want to hear
I'm
it.
just curious, because like, yeah, that can mean a few things.
Math.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of echo that, like digital literacy for someone in my program would probably look a lot different to digital literacy for like an engineer.
Sorry, I've had my hand to the back of my head. I'm gonna go next. I think like if I look to other sort of examples of this requirement, there's like the speech requirement, but there's like 5 different departments that can actually fulfill that. There's like a philosophy speech class, there's a communication speech class, there's a couple different ones. So I think if they were to do this, like I could see a world where there is a comp sci digital literacy course, but also a world where there's a history digital literacy course that like talks about like, you know, or maybe even a philosophy, like an ethics of digital, you know, whatever. Like I could see any of those. I am curious though, have you heard a push from executives to add this? Usually when I see things like this happening, I see like there's been a request of the provost or a request of the president to make this thing happen. And that's why it does happen. And it was sort of just pushing it up through shared governance. So have you seen that?
I have not seen that. The only things that I know of from like people who occupy administrative roles in the university is a couple of letters of support. Like I got one from Sam J, for example. And then to your other point that you had mentioned is that they had mentioned the ways in which that you could adjust certain SLOs in different programs to meet this requirement that they're proposing. That being said, it's also not all of the courses that they said could be changed can actually be changed for like accreditation. I'm thinking specifically here about our nursing students. We're fairly proud of our nursing program here, but they have approximately 0 to 2 credits that are not already allocated within their degree. And the example that has been provided for nursing students, this can't be changed because it is to meet specific accreditation requirements. So like there is talk about having each department be able to house its own, but there is also struggles and roadblocks to being able to do that within every department.
Emma?
Yeah, I was gonna just say, like, I feel like they're putting this on students when it could be baked into like it's gonna show up for students, be like, you have to meet this requirement. That doesn't, I feel like that's not it. But it should be on the university to either have this insurance baked into one of the core classes, and then it's like your, I don't know, digital literacy class, and you get, 5 classes to choose from or whatever. But it's also covering a comm class. Or it's baked into each department, and then it's like very broadly, like, okay, like for me, I do political science and I take a class that covers like Excel and all these other different programs, and digital literacy is baked into the program. Asking them to report a feedback or like provide a report being like, this is where we baked it into our program instead. That just feels, instead of putting it on students to then have to navigate their schedule around.
Cool.
I had a question about, to Faye specifically, where do you feel like the discussions are going with this? Is it going to be housed within each school and then they turn into the specifics of what they need for digital literacy in that field? Or is it like a general gen ed class that?
So the way that they've talked about it is they kind of want it to be both of those things. Because they're proposing it as a gen ed. They're proposing it as a new like a new requirement that lives under the gen ed requirements of MSU Denver. That being said, they are also within the research of doing this, talking about the ways in which different departments could take this on. So they're kind of wanting it to be best of both worlds, but I don't fully see that happening necessarily, at least for what has been proposed and talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
I think of this as like a similar one to like our ESSJ credit, so the Ethnic Studies and Social Justice credit, where it's not something that necessarily every college in the United States has that we would need to meet for accreditation, like like quantitative literacy, like math. we have to have that on all of our degrees, even if you're taking an arts degree, because that's what, it's like the typical standard. I don't think this is a push from the accreditation board. This is a push from MSU. And that's sort of where I have pushback of like, I don't think we should be adding this because it's an additional step for students. If students want that, they can take a course about it. We could have a professor that really wants to teach it, host it in their department, but I don't think it should be a like an additional literacy requirement. We already have like 4 or 5 of those. Oh,
I mean, to that, it kind of seems like they want to have a fancy new term that looks impressive on the paperwork. Like, oh, graduates from MSU know how to use Excel. Oh.
I think another part of this, sorry, is there any other hands before I continue to speak? Okay, I think another part of this that we're probably going to face at some point, if we do take like an opposition stance to this and it's not popular among other places, is they're going to tell us, well, this doesn't affect current catalogs. This is future catalogs. So this will, none of you will even be affected. I heard this in President's Cabinet when the conflict of interest and commitment policy was proposed, because I had opposition to it. So they just wrote student employees out of it and was like, it doesn't pertain to you anymore. And I was like, yes, it does. Like, that's the whole thing. And so I think that may be something we face at some point too, if we take opposition sections and it's not popular among faculty senate or it's not popular among administration. We should be thinking about that. I'll see hands, of course, this whole time. And then Faye, what's your request of us and what do you want, like insight for you to give a speech in a week or whatever?
In 2 days.
Yeah.
My thoughts and request was just, since we didn't have time to discuss this at the last meeting, I just wanted to dedicate intentional time to this. And if it sounds like people are broadly on board with what I'm asking to do. And I was more just like, hey, if anyone like really doesn't want me to do this, I would like to know why, and I would like to be able to have that conversation. But
What is it that you want to do?
I have asked faculty senate to speak on the floor regarding this matter. And in my speaking on the floor, I'll be taking like an opposition stance on floor.
Okay. I do want to like, we've appointed you to speak in that space. So like, I think you're coming back to us. You could have done this without it. And I'm glad that you came back to us. I want to like have a motion that sort of says we take opposition to this at this current, like the current proposal. Because I've seen the things you've sent and I'm certainly opposed to that, just to like, quote unquote, put like legitimacy to you going to the floor and saying TSAC is opposed to this. So I will motion as such. I motion for TSAC taking the opposition stance to the digital literacy proposal. Seconded by Emma. Is there any opposition to that? Or discussion? Okay, no opposition, that passes. Okay, is there anything else? Okay, last chance to speak on item B. We're moving on. Item C, discussion on array campus projects, policies and procedures. I added this on here. Everyone should have a pamphlet from the Peace and Healing Garden. This is what the guy came and talked to us about the other day. I don't know his name. Keegan, you have his info, right?
Yes, I.
Okay. Keegan, I hope we can follow up for time tomorrow with him. I'd be happy to write that email if you'll give me the info. But so there's three items here. There's 2 that are projects and one's more like a policy procedure side of things. So there's the 9th Street Peace and Healing Garden. I also have on here for discussion the Tivoli Reimagine project, and also policies and procedures regarding ICE or immigration enforcement activities on campus. So this is sort of an item C on old business is like, heck, let's talk if there's anything we need to do. I think this is a good space for us to get input to bring to SACAB, a good space for us to talk about these projects. And also this came directly to us, so we should talk about it. I think we should start with actually 9th Street Peace and Healing Garden, so everyone has this out, even though it's the C item, but let's start. When I was reading through this, I actually think this garden looks beautiful. I think it'd be really cool to have on campus, another place to go to sit and eat food and talk. I think the thing that we've had a student come and talk to us about is that on the back of the flyer, it talks about donor opportunities and adding a plaque for donor names on the Peace and Healing Garden. I think that was the opposition. So I just wanted to open up like conversation about all of this, especially like, dissent. Will.
I think the larger thing this is against is how they went about it, right? I mean, the placard is part of that. the fact that they got, again, I only know what I know from this individual, but I also don't trust her. Anyway, the pattern of not getting enough student input on this has always been an issue, or at least for a while. So I'll just start us off there. I don't know if this is necessarily bad on its own, but like the way they went about it is very questionable in my opinion.
I'm gonna go to Emma first.
Yeah, do we know like who's doing this really? Like, do we have a point of contact for it? I guess I guess I have a two-part thing, but does anybody know who is creating this Peace Garden, or who would reach out to come mention?
I have a direct response from Rowan.
So it's the Historic 9th Street Planning and Oversight Committee. I believe that's the sequence of words. It's a long name. But so it's a committee that was created with one member. I was doing some research on this earlier. One member from the Area Historical Advocacy Council, and then 4 people that council appoints from like people who are displaced Iranians or their descendants. And then there's a representative from AHEC and a representative from each of the educational institutions on the campus. Originally, when the Area Historical Advocacy Council went to one of the ABOT's meetings, demanding that they create a committee of 3 to 5 displaced Iranians, and they ended up with a 9-person committee where like they have 5 people on it still, but then there's 4 representatives from the rest of the campus. That then sort of gets to oversee the use of the 9th Street corridor, which is like all of those historic houses along 9th Street plus St. Cajetan's, and I'm forgetting the name of the other building. It's that area, that strip of area. So that, sorry, what? The rectory, yes, thank you, the rectory. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still sort of processing all the research that I was trying to do about this. Yeah, that's a very long-winded answer to your question. It's the Historic 9th Street Oversight Committee that would be approving this.
I'm gonna go back to you first. Go ahead.
So, so many thoughts. I don't know why. So maybe this is something that like SACAB could get in touch with the Auraria board about. Just putting some feelers out for our SACAB reps. And then additionally, I would just like clarification, like, I think the main problem is the donor wall. Like if we're just putting rich people money on there, but it says memorial/donor wall. So are the donors like displaced Iranians? Cause that maybe I'm okay with that. If, they're funding this own thing, I guess, but if not, how is this working?
We're gonna go to Matt, then Patrick, then Will. So Matt, then. Oh, your hand gone? Patrick online.
All right, Patrick online here. Biggest thing with this one, if I recall, was not necessarily like having the donors there, but it was what they're promoting of the Peace Garden is Peace and Healing Garden itself. So it says the vision for the Peace and Healing Garden is a result of an ongoing collaboration between the Auraria Historical Advocacy Council, displaced Aurarians and their descendants, and staff from AHEC, CCD, MSU Denver, and UCD, with landscape design by Diddler Design Studio. And if I recall, it was somewhere around the designing the concept of design of this, and not necessarily getting the feedback from those individuals that it is specifying, which is for the displaced Aurarians of the place. That's the biggest thing they're advertising, is kind of giving notch to the historical background of this campus, being that it was people's homes before, and then out of nowhere, well, not really out of nowhere, but kind of led to be our campus it is, our community today. So it was really much more regarding the displaced community. And it seems like there's a risen concern that isn't really the true purpose that it is now, given the designs that they're seeing. It doesn't seem like it is exactly what they imagined, and not too much feedback has been given to those individuals who are directly affected to it. So I do definitely agree with what you said, Emma, saying how that this would be something that SAB, could definitely talk to, or sorry, not SAB, but our SACAB representatives, given that this is like an area board project, because this is something that they're advertising through their website. So they might have more knowledge. I'm not sure.
Matt, wait, or Will,
Sorry, I was next.
I did give on my spot.
So I think I just want to probably ask the uncomfortable question. Do we want to do anything about this? Can we do anything about this at this point? Because I'll be honest, for me at least, if I'm putting my effort towards something, I want there to be a chance of actually changing it if possible. If not, I'd rather you should maybe also focus on other stuff. But, I'm just curious to hear what TSAC thinks about that.
It's 5:07. Matt, go ahead.
I guess part of one thing I'd be interested in finding out is we have a donor wall, we have donor pavers, and a donor bench. What are the donors? What is that money going to?
I think the donors would be the project. It's like donating to the project itself. I think the idea is this is your menu. If you have a lot of money, you choose one of the numbers and then you get to put your name on a thing. Is what I'm seeing it. I also, sorry, that's a little vain, but I've also seen somewhere in my research on this, and I can't find it now, of course, right in the meeting. The schools are also contributing money to this project too. Like general fund dollars are going into this for each school. And I'm curious to see that as well. I do think that what Will's saying brings up a big thing is like, if this project is already underway, I think the larger question is sort of similar to the whole LOD thing of like, why are students like, and especially like direct community members involved in a like relevant project being brought into these discussions. I know one of the things that the student that came to us had complaints about was also that the architects for this is not like any connection to Indigenous culture, not incorporating Indigenous artwork into this, not bringing in Indigenous community leaders into this project. And I think that's another concern to think about as well with the whole, give the land acknowledgement and then don't actually worry about the fact that you're on unceded territory. But yeah, and I think that if this can't be changed at this point, I think we need to call out the larger question of like, what is happening? How can we fix this for future projects? Because there will be a million future projects. Emma in the room. Go
I
ahead.
would just like to ask SACAB to just at least bring it up in their next meeting. Because the other schools might have an opinion on it too, and maybe just bring this with you.
Yeah.
By the way.
Patrick?
Yeah, Emma kind of said it for me. I think our next step plans before we really start strategizing things. So just like Will said, like if it's even a possibility, is investigating about this. So SACAP would be our best. I feel should be our first thing to do, and ask about what's going on that, given that this is like an AHEC project. So if anyone must know, it must be them.
Will.
I also want to make the council aware that SACAB also, or reps at least, have a lot of on their plate in regards to SACAB. I'll speak for myself. I don't know if this necessarily takes precedent over some of the things that they're trying to deal with, both of you, so.
I agree. Okay, I am going to, for the authority vested in me as the presiding chair, pause this and move on to open floor and new business. And we're going to come back to this whenever open floor is done, just because I don't want to table it because we might have more here, but we're sort of at a stopping point. So we're going to go to open floor. This is the time for, I guess it's Steffi, because Susanna had to, yeah, Steffi, go ahead for the thing you wanted to bring up.
Thank you, Sky, for giving me the time to bring up this discussion. So PR, originally, as we mentioned before, we wanted to collaborate with Casa de Paz. Here's their website. If you want to look at it really fast, for a St. Valentine's Day thing, but clearly that was not possible. That never happened because just scheduling wise, we were not able to get a hold of each other in a timely manner. So that never happened. However, Patrick and I, we were able to meet with them and kind of see where they would like support the most. And they shared with us some ways they would like support from a possible collaboration that TISA can do. So they mentioned like snack bags, like making snack bags, backpacks, support cards, and then a possible presentation where they could come in and just give a presentation on what they are and detention 101. So this is still in the in the early stages of planning, but I wanted to bring this up to the council because I would like to hear people's thoughts, people's ideas on how we would like to see this event go. Although right now, Patrick and I, Patrick, please jump in with whatever. We were thinking of collaborating with potential departments. This is all maybe, but potential departments within MSU, maybe SGA from CCD or CU Denver, just to see where we would like to take this event from here. Because I think Patrick and I, we just agreed, at least the two of us, how this is an event we would like to do to support the community, the immigrant community, and just show our support for them as TSAC, right? Yeah, any questions, any thoughts?
Okay.
Just as a possibility, you could reach out to Gita here on campus because we've had Casa de Paz on campus for an event before.
Patrick?
Yeah, thank you so much, Steffi, for bringing this up. And this is like Steffi said, is something that we just kind of started this initiative originally with the intention of having to be Valentine's Day cards, but unfortunately, due to scheduling, didn't really turn out that way. But it looks like a more promising event than we originally expected. It seems like there's a lot more possibilities that we can do. Given the fact that we've had this on our goals this year, working directly with the issue of immigration and what this presidency has really brought to the community. Things go a little bit more with just knowing your rights. Like we're doing that, but I feel like it's important that we take a little bit step further in this initiative and helping the community in different ways. The way that transparency was letting us know was, how Steffi said, the snack bags, backpacks, support cards, presentation to do. Initially, my thought on this was kind of organizing an event like our Cesar Chavez Day of Service, where similar to like our AHA Week, where we have organizations, where we can invite not simply just organizations, but also clubs, organizations outside of the students with Gita, ISP, given the opportunity for our community to work together on preparing these snack packs or backpacks together and support cards. So this could be, a TSAC event with sponsors or have a TSAC event with collaborations included. So that's ultimately like how we want to make this event. Do we want this to be something big? And if we wanted to have something big, obviously kind of how Will was saying earlier, if we're going to get committed to something, we want to see this get done. We want to see people who are involved with this as well. So that's why we're here today, is making sure that this is something that you guys are intrigued. This is something that we could plan out and host it for other individuals to provide help, and we can together make something great for our community in a highly impacted in the populace that's going on right now, because this would go to the individuals who are in detention. So kind of as you see on the screen, like we welcome guests who are released from immigration detention centers. So these are people who have been there for months and sometimes years, who are inside the spaces and necessarily don't have a lot of ways to communicate with people outside, don't really have a lot of ways to communicate with people inside, don't have a lot of ways to drink or talk. So it's essentially kind of a jail cell that people are in here, and sometimes they're forced to be here for a lot longer than they anticipated. So a lot of it is also funding with buying things, giving money for these individuals to buy food or buying like snack packs for people. So that's where this impact. So this could be something that we could help in specifically in different places, whether we want to help funding or do we want to help contributing community supplies.
I'm gonna jump on stack as well. I'm gonna give a little bit of context. I know Casa de Paz well. I love them guys. So in Louisiana and in Texas and in Colorado, we have really large detention centers. So we have the Aurora Geo facility, which is a big one. And so people that get detained in rural places get flown here to be held. In the same way that people that get detained here sometimes get flown to Louisiana or get flown to San Antonio. And so, but what happens is when an immigration judge rules that you're to be released and ICE actually releases that person, they just get released on the streets of Aurora, even if they're from Arkansas or from California or from Florida. And Casa de Paz picks those people up and gives them a place to sleep that night. And I think that's what these backpacks would be. I just want to give some context to that. Nothing we make is going to go to the jail, go to the cages that people are in. It's going to go to Casa de Paz for them to then give them to people that are getting out, which is because every single day as people get put into Geo, people get deported and people get out of Geo on the streets of Aurora. And so this is an urgent big thing. I think it'd be really cool if we co-sponsored an event with Casa de Paz and or other organizations on campus to have students come in, learn a thing, make some cool stuff, maybe even write a letter to people that want letters in Geo right now. And have that be a really good community learning event, as well as making a tangible difference. And we could help sort of be one of the funders of that. That'd be really cool. Sorry, I did just jump on Patrick. Not Patrick. Dalton.
Also, I don't think that's incompatible with being a fundraiser for their organization. They can put up their QR code, put out a little tip jar.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. If there's anyone else, I'll let them go first before I talk.
Any other hands? Okay, Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Sky, you said it perfectly. That's exactly what I feel like we should do. I think it's a really big opportunity that we have in front of us, and the connections have already been made, and it's up to us to really make out of it and really make sure that this opportunity is extended to our community and learning and doing fun, engaging things that helps out other people. So I think this would be great. And the more individuals we have involved with this, the better it's going to turn out, the more efficient, the quicker. So, that's really the extent of it is it'd be cool. We have a lot of planning phases, but we also want to see contribution of seeing this out and really getting it done. So I'll leave it to Steffi if they want to talk a little bit more. PR wants to know how we can engage a little bit more.
I definitely think we should refer this out to the PR committee to do. I do want to say, I'm seeing broader from just this event, but I'm seeing a coalition forming on campus, a campus coalition. I'm seeing in my conversations I've had with immigrant services and conversations with the unions and conversations with even outside organizations like CERC, I'm seeing a lot of people on this campus wanting to get involved in these sorts of events. I know of we're going to do a confirmer training with TSEC's going to help sponsor. This event would be a different event than that. Gregor's having an event on this Wednesday regarding conversations in JSSB, as well as the unions is doing an event for not even the union. It's the Colorado Labor Education Committee is having a call to action about immigration stuff that's happening on campus too. I'm seeing all these different events happening. I think it'd be really cool if we get a flyer out that has these 4 events on it or these 5 events on it. Here, come to this series about things that you can learn and do stuff. So come to this, or one of the events is the confirmer training people are really wanting. One of the events is information about campus, know your rights. One of the events is hearing about detention centers and the real things that we're putting our fellow humans through on this planet right now. And then also what you can do with Casa de Paz. And then another one about labor and immigration side of things. I think it'd be really cool to partner with that and find out some way to get everyone together to really make this a big thing. Would PR be interested in that? Yeah, just talk, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you, Sky. I think my call to action would be, to see who's interested in kind of like leading this. I will be the person of contact within PR, trying to, lead this initiative, this event. So I'm just asking who would be interested other than, of course, PR to help with this event. So I can kind of like make a group chat and start looping you all in with communicating with the different departments and people.
Is this just hands or is this like,
This is.
okay, 1, 2, I'm certainly interested.
Yeah.
Slight interest.
Interested, small capacity.
Patrick's
Yeah.
interested. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's- well, you're also interested. Okay, and then speaking hands.
Stop it, question.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, so it's just, would you be interested in being added to a chat to work on this?
Yeah, to like give an
Okay.
update and,
I will say, I think we should just do this in the PR chat.
yeah,
Like, so are all the delegates in the PR chat too, the big one?
yes.
Okay.
So,
I think this should be something that's done in the PR chat. That's like the perfect use for it. And like, if you're interested in it, stay tuned in the PR chat, make sure notifications are on. There might be like a separate meeting from the PR committee meeting that needs to happen, or invite people to the PR meeting, whatever makes the most sense. I think starting to meet with, different campus folks about this, about like, do we want to advertise these events together? Do we want to make this sort of like a thing? That's something that needs to be happening like this week. So I'll reach out to, Immigration Services Program. You have people at CLEC.
Thank you.
CLEC, you too will reach out to CLEC. So we double the things.
Also reach out to justice impacted students.
Justice impacted students.
This might be up their wheelhouse.
Yeah, I just think like this is a good time to like plan like at least get dates locked in for like the rest of the semester of events for like this little group of people together. And then really like work on that together, because we're all working on this sort of issue. Everyone has this on the forefront of their brains, and we're not actively putting our labor together to make things happen. I think that should happen soon.
and something I would like to add, just to finish this off, that Patrick and I, we like roughly like mentioned the word date around in the air, April 8th. It's a Wednesday. That's they said that Wednesdays work best for them, so that's why we would like to kind of like help when it comes to scheduling. So Wednesday, we're still not sure when it comes in the morning or afternoon, maybe like more daily, like midday to late afternoon, but May 8th.
Wonderful. Okay, any last things from PR? Okay, I think we refer this to PR committee. Stay tuned, jump in it. We're gonna go right back to our last item of old business, discussion on the Ray campus projects, policies and procedures. We sort of gotten a lot of talk about the healing garden. I wanted to open it up for Tilly Reimagine and for the immigration enforcement activities, policies, and procedures. They're unrelated, but it's all about like AHEC interaction with students and like decision making. And so that's sort of the reason for it on the agenda together. So
I'm not, oh yeah, you put this on there. What specifically policy and procedures?
yeah, so there's the policy they passed in a year ago and a month, 7.7, it's the immigration enforcement policy. It was required by the state, and they were updating some of the different languages over the last couple of bills that had passed about laws in Denver and laws in Colorado, about like what AHEC employees can and cannot do. I think there's not a procedure in place right now for what happens when ICE comes to campus. That's just not a procedure that's in place. None of the universities have a procedure about that. The MSU has a protocol that is non-binding, that is just like an MOI of like, this is something we could do.
Like a suggestion.
That like Breger, the chief of police, and MSU leadership have like soft agreed to. I would like to see like an actual procedure on the operations side of the house for all 4 institutions about what happens. Like, it's essentially an active shooter threat on campus, like at that point. And like, I think we need like real procedures about that. There's complicated dynamics with the fact that that is federal law enforcement. And I think we need like to put real protections in place. And I don't care if University Admin thinks it's a target. I think it's important to have real protections in place.
And we're a target anyway.
Exactly. We're a target anyways. I think the argument of like it being a target is wrong. And I think I've seen pushback from Array campus on that. And I think it ties right into the not listening to students about projects too. Sorry, I ranted. The floor is open for discussion. Yeah.
This isn't
this is more just a question for the floor. What do we think, or maybe for Steven? I feel like we have this issue. I feel like we're all in agreement with like the lawn and the peace garden and all this stuff. Like, it's just a fact that we want to be more involved in at least advocating for students, and there's a big hindrance. Is there a specific person that we can reach out to? That's because I feel like we meet with like Dr. Jensen, and that's great. We meet with Will Simpkins, and that's great, and that's very student forward, but it's not very like campus forward. And that's kind of like not in their wheelhouse. I mean, it is a little bit, but not like really. Is there somebody that we could get more involved to like have to come here, or something like an effort we could have to better that connection? That's not SACAB.
Can I go? I would really like to see a twice a year, I don't know if it's a convention or what it is, but all 3 student governments get together, everyone in the same room with all 4 CEOs on the campus. Like twice a year to bring up major issues. Like it wouldn't be this space, obviously, but it's like a much larger space. Like for us to really have a, like, I don't know what the word for this is, like a convention or a, student governance conference or whatever on campus to like really bring these issues all together, because there are, a chancellor, 2 presidents, and a CEO on this campus that guide the policy and procedures decisions. I think that's who we talk to. Did Steven, I'll let you go. Yeah, and then we'll go to it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Sky's idea. I think that's a good idea. I think that is long due. I think you will run into the argument of that is what SACAB is for. And there will be pushback. And I think the inherent nature of this in particular, specifically the 9th Street Park Peace and Healing Garden, Tivoli Reimagined, immigration enforcement for activities on campus, that does revolve around Auraria campus officials. I don't think if you don't get what you want out of SACAB, I think you all as student government have the ability to call folks to this meeting from the Auraria camp, from AHEC. So that is another way you can go about doing it. You could call their CEO. You could go the Sky route and have a tribunal per se of all 3 institutions and with all 4 leaders or whatever. Again, I think if you want to make change at the MSU level, I think you do have some advocates. Yes, you are running into some obstacles with the law. We will figure that out. I think you do have some legal folk in David Fine and Nick Stansel who are actually strong supporters of TSAC. That's our general counsel at MSU Denver. I think if you wanted to go the route of calling in AHEC folks, I think you're well within your right to do that. I think you have 2 very vocal folks in Matt and Sky on SACAB who will do and call folks to the meeting. I think to answer your question, Emma, nothing is not within your bounds. I hear what you're saying where you're trying to get folks, Will Simpkins comes and talks, no issue there. President Davidson comes and talks, no issues there. Action comes about that. But what happens when you have the standstills or the folks who aren't as student focused, facing, supporting as those individuals? I do think it's where you have 3 options. You have your SACAB reps. I think you take it on yourselves to say, hey, we want some folks from AHEC to come to our meetings, and or you go the Sky Tribunal route.
The Sky Tribunal. I want to see hands, and it's 5:30. Is there a motion to extend or a motion to adjourn? That's the only thing I'm entertaining at the moment. Matt.
I was gonna motion to extend the meeting by 5 minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any opposition? Wonderful. Seeing none, we're going to extend for 5 minutes. We'll go to Matt, then we'll go to Patrick online.
Yeah, because we had a lot of the same issues in SACAP that we've had with the lawn. Like, I know we have Tivoli Reimagined on here, but one I found interesting is we have the Integrated Planning Committee that me and Faye are on, which is an Auraria campus thing, because it goes over every building that happens on campus. They filled every representative from every student government before they even thought about SACAP. So they had representatives from MSU, CCD, and UCD before they thought about even asking for somebody from SACAP. And this isn't a Auraria thing. It's kind of how we were treated with the lawn.
Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, kind of in agreement with what you're saying, Emma. I'm not sure if we're saying exactly the same thing here, but I do, we have individuals come and present to us of kind of updates of what's going on, but it doesn't seem like we've had necessarily a lot of attention to things that really impact us as students on this campus, as policy aside and planning aside, but like how are things that we actually need to be changed and feel like needs to be more vocal, more representation. And if we need to do that, those are the things that we feel it's more imperative to us to answer the call, being that, being represented for MSU is really trying to see the active change. And if, we don't have the capability of doing that within SACAP, if there's already a lot of things going on, then we should try finding a way to where it can actually get done and not really mediated in some place. So if we can invite individuals, say so, but I also think that we should try going about it in the directed channels that it should be at first. And, just kind of like we did just how we've done everything, is making sure that we do what's right initially, and then we move forward with things that doesn't really get involved. So once the chance has already has already passed, and we have to move on to the next step, which would be like invite individuals or having direct conversation. But if I don't see, these issues, I feel like is directly what SACAP is for. And if it's not really being represented for that, we have to find a way to bring that representation and to call.
I think your question, Emma, is where is the student power? Your question is the question of student power. It's like when these projects are happening, where's the student voice at on it? And I think it's a question of student power of like, if students had power of these projects, they would have to come to us. And I think, we'll always be an advisory role, I imagine, on this campus. I think it's an important question of student power. And I see it at all the institutions, but I see it most with AHEC in that realm. Emma, go ahead.
I just think that we should, I guess a worse question, but I think that we should start thinking about, we talk a lot about how we don't feel that power, or not even power, but even like the advisory aspect, because we don't know what's going on the campus to an extent, or if we do, we have to go through so many channels. So setting up maybe a relationship, whether that's having AHEC come here, and I think we should just have that maybe in the goals next week. We can talk about more of that, deciding, do we want to send an email to somebody from AHEC? Do we want to send an email to, I liked the reaching out, I can't remember what their name is for the, what did we talk about? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, I think.
I'll send a point person for that, right? It was you too. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Making sure we don't need to go back there then.
But reaching out to people so that we know what's going on the campus, and having them maybe meet, each semester, and adding somebody to our list of people that join us, so that we can stay more informed.
Yeah, we're over time. I will say, I think that what I would like to see is when something needs to happen on this campus is going to affect students, that a step in that process is coming to us, not we have to just be omniscient and know everything that's happening on this campus and go to the person doing it. So that's what I want to see. That's when I say student power, is because it's already an integrated part of the process, as opposed to something they can do, and if we know about, we can ask them to do, but they don't have to. I want to see it's a real part of the process. But yeah, we are at time, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. seconded by Irby, made by Dalton. Is there any opposition? We're adjourned.